Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. I'm Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. We have a Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Central Virginia, Commonwealth, and worldwide audience on the I Love CVille Network. Today, we're presented by Skooma Boutique Dispensary, the best dispensary in Charlottesville. Skooma Boutique Dispensary with locations on the downtown mall and Elliewood Avenue. We'd like to thank partners like Greenberry's Coffee, the longest running coffee roaster in Charlottesville and in Central Virginia is Greenberry's Coffee, and you can win free coffee for a year through enter.greenberries.com. I have it right here in this I Love CVille Yeti cup. Enter.greenberries.com for free coffee for a year. Folks, a lot we're going to cover on today's program. The morning show we did today, Real Talk with Keith Smith, was dynamite. We had Mayor Lloyd Snook and Vice Mayor Juan Diego Wade on the show. On today's Real Talk with Keith Smith, a number of items in the 90-minute show were breaking news items. We will play some clips in the business they're called sizzle reels from this morning's talk show, including whether or not Lloyd Snook will run for re-election. We will also highlight the payment in lieu of taxes discussion that's gaining interest. UVA owns a boatload of real estate in the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County. Because it's owned through nonprofit entities, that real estate often goes untaxed. We talked about this on Real Talk with Keith Smith, and we also highlighted some opportunities for the university to contribute budgetary opportunities that Charlottesville City Hall and Council is going to ask of the university. I'm sitting here next to Mayor Snook and Vice Mayor Wade this morning, and I'm like, good Lord, this is breaking news. This is stuff that we need to return or to pass along to you, the viewers and listeners on the program. I would very much encourage you guys to tell your friends and family that care about Charlottesville and Central Virginia about the next 45 to 50 minutes of talk show commentary that we're going to offer here on the I Love CVille Show. Okay, it is dynamic and dynamite. Judah Wickower is our director. We love Judah Wickower. Our digital North Star, our talk show infrastructure compass, the jack of all trades, Judah Wickower. You have the sizzle reels ready to go. The first one will be Snook and whether or not he's running for re-election. We'll get to that in a matter of moments. I want to encourage everyone that's watching this program to put this on your calendar, the 231 Festival, Sunday, May 15th at Castle Hills Cidery. The 231 Festival is a benefit for the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank. Get a taste of Virginia's premier craft beverage scene in the Southwest Mountains at Castle Hills Cidery. Wine, beer, cider, food trucks, live music, local artisans, and activities for kids. Get your tickets at castlehillcider.com/231. All right, sit back, relax, giddy up, and get ready to enjoy breaking news after breaking news after breaking news right here on the I Love CVille Show. Judah Wickower, sizzle reel number 1. I'll count you down into it. Will current mayor Lloyd Snook run for re-election? There are 3 spots on council up for grabs, November 2023. Cena McGill, Michael Payne, and Lloyd Snook. Mayor Snook is the mayor. We asked him today, will he run for re-election? And he pretty much answered the question. Judah Wickower in 3, 2, and 1. Did you say if you're going to run for re-election?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Lloyd, I was trying to help you out.
Did you say that? You're going to do that?
I probably will.
Yeah. Didn't you say at one of the, didn't Ginny Bixby quote you in an article in the Daily Progress, if I run for re-election, I'm going to be held to what I say today? I mean, did you tip it off then? Because I thought that was a tip-off. So you're saying you probably will.
Well, you know, yeah, I expect to, but things could change. I don't know.
Okay. Lloyd Snook's run for re-election. I mean, Judah Wickower, let's get a 2-shot on the mix here. Our director and our right-hand guy. I mean, that's what you got. He said he's Probably going to run. Probably going to run again. I'm not surprised by that. Are you surprised by that?
Not really. And I don't know that he was putting his mark on anything there. He
Definitely did. He definitely put his mark on there. That's what literally just happened there. I said, are you going to run for re-election? There's a talk show with a microphone and a camera, and he said, yes, most likely. Where's the room for confusion there?
Well, the final thing he says is anything could happen. Things could change.
Well, yeah, of course anything can happen. But he didn't say no.
Fair enough.
Right? If he wasn't going to run, he would say, no, I'm not. Now, the only surprise we have had on the show is whether or not age would play a factor on the re-election campaign. And that does not seem to be the case here.
I mean, there have been far older people in politics across the board. I hardly think that age is going to be a big factor in his decision at this point.
Yeah. So that's news. Man's running again. That is news right there. Do you think Cena McGill runs again? I say no way, Jose.
I mean, I think I'd have to see her talking just to, I don't know, get I haven't seen much.
So yes or
of
no?
her.
Do you think Cena McGill runs again?
No idea. I would probably go along with what you said.
I say no way, Jose. Worn down, 4 years on the dais. Do you think Michael Payne runs again?
I could see him running again.
Me too. Michael Payne, I see running again. In fact, I would bet his primary source of income or his largest source of income is the $18,000 he's making as a city councilor, Michael Payne. And I think Michael Payne has ambitions for a vertical political climb. And another 4 years on the dais in Charlottesville would really give him a pretty strong resume base for making a push for delegate, maybe a state senator type deal.
Sure.
I'd say Payne runs again. McGill, no way. Snook, I was uncertain about. Friend of the program, Lloyd Snook, because of the age piece, and he pretty much said, "Look, I'm going to run again." You just heard it. Now, get ready for this one. I'm going to play you two sizzle reels, two different sound bites from this morning show. Real Talk with Keith Smith, and in these particular sound bites, we asked about the University of Virginia's role in contributing to infrastructure needs and the University of Virginia's role in contributing to the city of Charlottesville's tax base. The first piece of sound that I'm going to play you here is about the payment in lieu of taxes program that Councilor Michael Payne proposed a couple of months ago. The largest property owner in Charlottesville and Albemarle County is the University of Virginia. Because the University of Virginia is a nonprofit, they're exempt from paying taxes on real estate holdings when the nonprofit entity owns the real estate. When the nonprofit entity owns the real estate, UVA is exempt on paying property taxes. So the concept was a payment in lieu of taxes program. Basically, leadership in the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County goes to President Ryan and the University of Virginia, the Board of Visitors, and says, hey, you guys own a lot of real estate. You need to start ponying up some money to our respective budgets to help us manage infrastructure, employee salaries, and the overhead that's astronomical of running Charlottesville and Albemarle County. This topic came up this morning. And I'll tell you what, Mayor Lloyd Snook is a talk show host's dream. Because the dude doesn't beat around the bush, he speaks very straightforwardly, and is a soundbite waiting to happen. So let's go sizzle reel number 2. This is Lloyd Snook talking about city of Charlottesville, and its leadership, which he obviously is a part of, and what they are going to ask of the University of Virginia moving forward. Judah Wickower in 3, in 2, in 1. Let's rock. Before we get off this topic, how about the pilot program with UVA? Payment in lieu of taxes. Is there any traction at all with that, or is that a pipe dream?
First of all, there's no statutory authority for it. But here's the approach that I would rather take.
Okay.
That is that in the 1980s, we worked out an agreement between the city and the county and the university that said that the university would stop buying property and holding it in the name of the university because that took it off the tax rolls. I did it just this past weekend. I went through and I made a list. There are about 40 different parcels that the university has bought, and that they were putting it all in the name of the Real Estate Foundation, which is still a taxable entity. But there are about 40 that they have bought now, most of them transfers from the Real Estate Foundation to the university. That is costing the city roughly $700,000 a year in tax revenue, even if you're only basing it on the value of the property at the time it was transferred. So if they built the new hospital on this land that was transferred to a non-taxable entity, we're not looking at taxes based on the value of the hospital. We're looking at the taxes that were on the basis of the vacant land that was there in 1992 or whenever it was. And so that's about $700,000 a year in taxes that we're not getting.
Well, that's conservative.
That's the most conservative way to look at it possible. Even if you just sort of looked at, okay, what would that value be if you inflated it by the normal inflation that would be applicable? Okay, maybe now you're looking at $1.5 million that we're losing. There is another $30 to $40 million worth of land that is presently owned by the Real Estate Foundation that we could reasonably expect over the next decade or so is also going to get converted if the present pattern continues. That's a real problem for us. And number one, it's a problem because it's going against the agreement that the university made with us back in the 1980s. Number two, completely aside from that, that's revenue that we are being denied that, let's face it, the university continues to be something of a burden to us in terms of police and presence and fire and all these other things, some of which they contribute to, but they don't contribute the full amount. And so it continues to be a cost to us, and we're not getting that money. And I think we will need to readdress that with the university, even if it's only in looking at, hey, you made an agreement with us 35 years ago, and you're not following it. And you haven't been following it really. I mean, for about 5 years they followed it, it seems. And that's about it. And we need to talk about that. We need to talk about it openly. If you want to think about that as payment in lieu of taxes, that's fine. That at least we've got a contractual authority for it, even if we don't have a statutory authority for it.
You're getting amens on the feed here from Dan Pettit, from Kevin Yancey, from Grayson, from a lot of people. Dan Pettit says, thank you for speaking at our Easter service, Juan Diego Wade.
Yeah.
So that was very straightforward from you. I just respect a lot of what you just said. That was fantastic. Okay. That was you pretty much saying, UEA, you need to change. That's a great soundbite right there. Very straightforward soundbite. A very non-beating around the bush soundbite. I expect, and wait till you hear soundbite number 3, I expect city leadership to be even more active with the university with asking for contributions to the budget and or holding them accountable and responsible for deals made in the past. Now get ready for soundbite number 3. So I'll give you a little background first. The payment in lieu of taxes program that Michael Payne proposed would have significant financial exposure for the university. It would be a lot of money heading to the city of Charlottesville's way because UVA owns a ton of real estate in the city of CVille. How it normally works when a for-profit entity or an individual person owns real estate, They pay taxes on those real estate holdings, but because UVA is a nonprofit, they're exempt. If the payment in lieu of taxes program is pushed forward, which Councilor Snook indicated that it probably wouldn't, UVA would be paying those payments to both Charlottesville and Albemarle County. Albemarle County would be significantly more, and it would be done potentially in perpetuity, which means financial exposure for a university. They're opening their coffers, giving money to jurisdictions, and doing it for a long period of time. You can see why the university may be hesitant to do that. An alternative approach, Mayor Snook called it win-win, is asking the University of Virginia to contribute financially to infrastructure improvements around the city, infrastructure improvements to corridors like West Main Street that would benefit the university. Mayor Snook, and you'll hear him say it, said the most important stretch in the city is from the university to the downtown mall. We call that West Main Street. So as an alternative approach to pursuing funding from UVA to the Charlottesville city budget, Snook said, how about we consider asking the university to fund infrastructure improvements? Listen to this. This is good. Judah, do you have that sound ready to go? Let's hear this sound in 3, 2, 1. Completely deflected it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I had this conversation about the 1985 or 86 agreement with some senior staff at UVA, and they said, "What agreement?"
Yeah.
They didn't, as though they didn't know about it. Maybe they didn't know about it because they're newer too, and we need to refresh their recollection. But one of the places that I think we may be able to find some common ground on it, rather than getting stuck on the payment in lieu of taxes, hey, there's no authority for. Let's talk about something that we can agree on as a common interest. And that's the state of West Main Street.
Oh, there you go.
The university had said they would put $5 million towards the West Main Streetscape improvements. It's looking now. I mean, we basically had to say when we were getting concerned about about how we're going to pay for the schools, we had to say we're going to take the West Main Streetscape improvements off the table. Maybe we have to figure out a way to get the university to participate more fully in that process, because let's face it, that mile between JPA and downtown Charlottesville is probably the most important mile that we have in the city of Charlottesville.
For sure.
It connects the two major economic drivers of the city, the major social drivers of the city. It's part of the entrance to the university, and to come through the area that is poorly maintained, that is not well planned out, ought to be something of profound interest to the university, as well as, frankly, to the city. And I'm hoping that if we can get through current financial difficulties, that we may find a way to revisit that streetscape improvement with more participation from the university.
Right. Excuse me, Lloyd, and I just want to add on to that. Now, mile has become even more important. When I was a student in the late 80s, it almost seemed like it was a different world from the university and the downtown mall. Now, if you look on practically any evening, but particularly on the weekends, is that you just see the flow of visitors, students, just going back and forth, because it's a lot that's going on in between there, but it's places where the sidewalk is not very good, the lighting is not very good. It's a lot that we can do to enhance that, to make it even more pleasurable for everyone, and that's something that would benefit the university, because I'm sure that when they're bringing in, prospective students and clients and professors and faculty, that they're like, this is what this community has to offer, and it just would be, it'll be a win-win situation for the entire community if we can improve that. But we had to make some difficult choices, and for me, the choice between education and that, it was easy for me, but not saying that wasn't important.
So most folks,
I just said, what we need to do, the concern about simply the discussion of payment in lieu of taxes is that that discussion alone is a win-lose discussion. It's not a win-win discussion.
Because you're saying UVA would never do it.
Right. And so,
Especially since they would really pay a lot to Albemarle County, probably more so than the city of Charlottesville.
Yeah.
And they know this is in perpetuity.
And so what I want to do, I want to figure out a win-win.
So that's 3 pieces of news right there. Snook running for re-election, yes. City council going to ask, or city leadership going to ask UVA to contribute to infrastructure improvements. Maybe the pilot or payment in lieu of taxes program will be deflected or will not be welcomed or embraced by UVA. So instead of pursuing that avenue, city leadership pursues the avenue of, hey, UVA, why don't you contribute to infrastructure improvements like the West Main Streetscape project? It's going to benefit you once the project is finished because that corridor, that road, goes directly to grounds. I love that approach. That is creative and innovative thinking. I love that approach. It can be positioned in a way that's win-win for UVA and the jurisdiction, where the pilot program is not win-win for UVA. They gain really nothing out of that. Maybe some community goodwill they would gain. Also from today's show, you heard that council is now very open-minded to the designated outdoor refreshment area on the downtown mall. The Dora on the downtown mall very well could become a reality, and I'm on record saying this before anybody else. It's Friends of CVille, the nonprofit, that are going to drive that train. The Friends of CVille nonprofit will drive the Dora designated outdoor refreshment area train to the downtown mall. And lastly, one other item out of the notebook was the city manager. Right now we have a hired gun, a consultant. I've essentially dubbed him a mercenary city manager, Michael Rogers of the Robert Bob Group. He's done a heck of a job, Michael Rogers, the mercenary city manager. Vice Mayor Juan Diego Wade pretty much said, look, we're going to renew Rogers' contract, and I'd like to see that contract renewed, the Robert Bob Group contract renewed through budget season of next year. So don't be surprised if the city manager's in play, the mercenary consultant, hired gun city manager Michael Rogers of the Robert Bob Group. Do not be surprised if this gentleman, who's doing a hell of a job, is on the job in consultant form through Q1 of next year, a year from now. Also, I would not be surprised if the new city manager, the permanent one, is not an in-house promotion. I would not be surprised if the new city manager is promoted within and either Sam Sanders or Ashley Marshall. That discussion was hosted or had on Real Talk this morning. Do not be surprised if Sam Sanders or Ashley Marshall will be promoted to full-time city manager with Michael Rogers and the Robert Bob Group also in the mix, helping that transition happen. Ashley Marshall is a deputy city manager. Sam Sanders is a deputy city manager as well. Both of them are gaining tremendous experience. Listen to the Real Talk with Keith Smith show this weekend, today. Listen to it twice. It was loaded with news. Loaded. I want to encourage everyone to get their tickets for the 231 Festival, Castle Hill Cider, Sunday, May 15th. Route 231, you got a phenomenal aggregation of cideries and vineyards and breweries. There'll be food trucks, live music, local artisans, and activities for kids. Sunday, May 15th, the 231 Festival. Get tickets at castlehillcider.com/231. Your dad says the sound keeps going on and off, Judah. Just put it in the comment section. You got the audio ready, rocking and rolling?
Yeah, mics are on.
You certain?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else experiencing that? Let us know, please. Thank you, Jim. We appreciate you and when you watch the program, Jim. All right, one other item out of the notebook. This one's incredibly concerning. So, the Miami Hurricanes have a basketball player on their roster. And the guy that's on their roster is a star. He's a stud. His name is Isaiah Wong. Isaiah Wong is an All-ACC performer, two-time All-ACC player, the second leading scorer on the Hurricanes that reached the NCAA Tournament Elite Eight. The guy's just a stud. He literally is holding the University of Miami hostage right now. And his agent, college players now have agents when they're playing in college, thanks to NIL deals. His representative is saying that if this young man does not get compensation increase with his name, image, and likeness, he's going to leave Miami and transfer away. So he's basically saying, if I don't get compensation for my name, image, and likeness at a much greater rate, I'm going to transfer from Miami. Boosters and alumni, you better make that happen. This is why you've seen so many college coaches retire. Jay Wright of Villanova, the last one. They're choosing not to stay in this monetized version of college sports. The University of Miami's best basketball player is holding the school hostage and leveraging his play, his performance, to more compensation while he's in college. He's telling boosters, if you don't get me more money for my name, image, or likeness, I'm going to transfer from your school and go to another one, maybe your direct competitor. I want more money for appearing in commercials, magazine ads, radio ads, for you guys leveraging my name, image, and likeness. And if you don't get me that more NIL money by close of business today, literally today, I will transfer from South Florida and the Miami Hurricane basketball program to your competitor. That's literally what's happening. I'm all for athletes earning income in college. I've thought they've been exploited by the NCAA for a long time. But the NIL, the name, image, likeness landscape, was never intended for this. It was never intended as a leverage or a negotiation tactic for active players to leverage or to negotiate with alumni and boosters, saying, find me more money or I transfer. Never intended for that. And that's what's happening now. And I can assure you, other athletes will watch what happens to this Miami basketball player. And if he gets more money from the boosters and from the alumni, other athletes will do the same thing, threatening transferring from programs if NIL compensation doesn't increase. And that's a scary thought, because that will quickly mean that would quickly lead to a weakening or watering down of college basketball. All right, so that's today's show. Listen to the morning's talk show, Real Talk with Keith Smith. It was dynamic. Snook's running for re-election. We talk UVA contributing to infrastructure, who will be the next city manager, the designated outdoor refreshment area, and more. This show is presented by Skooma Boutique Dispensary, Greenberry's Coffee, and Castle Hill Cider today. Judah Wickhauer is our fantastic director. I'm Jerry Miller. Thank you for joining us.